Today I'm going to talk about fruit trees mainly. I'm going to plant an apple tree and I'm going to talk about pruning off extra fruit from your fruit trees. Now I know it's an early time for a lot of you for fruit trees in the northern areas, but down south here, we've already had trees bloom, set fruit, uh, and I want to talk a little bit about it, taking care of those trees. What I'm going to do is I have some Fuji apple seeds that I had germinated. Now this didn't take, all of them's not germinated. There's two of them that's starting to grow roots. This didn't take about 3 days. This is now halfway through the fourth day uh, for germinating these, and we're going to open it up here. And there's a couple here that have roots, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and plant them. The others have not sprouted yet. They might not sprout, I don't know. But what I've got, I'm going to use a little taller pot for these. Now I'm going to plant some squash too today, but I'm not going to use quite as tall a pot. And the reason for this, planting these, now these apples might not even taste like the Fuji apple that I got. They could be as good, they could be better, they could be worse. But what I'm doing is I'm tired of buying apple trees and then putting them out and something happen, they die, or different things that might happen to them, and plus the expense of it, because I'd kind of like to have quite a few. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and plant some apple seeds, different varieties. I'll let them get big enough to where they do start actually having fruit on them. If the fruit doesn't taste good, I'll take one of my Honey Crisp or my Pink Ladies or my Granny Smith, and I'll just graft it onto that base, because that's what you get at the nursery. But the difference is when you plant these from seed, when that taproot goes down, it's not going to be cut off. It'll just keep going down into the ground. So these will actually be stronger, healthier trees. The base of them will be than the stock that you buy from somewhere else. Now they might not be. Some of this stock is resistant to certain types of disease and stuff, and that might be something that you have to worry about. But that's not something that I'm going to worry about. So first thing we're going to do, I have a mix here that I mixed up. Now it's moist enough that it tries to clump, so I want to make sure it's moist like that, because if you watch some of my earlier videos where I was starting seeds, I didn't make sure it was moist and good beforehand, and it never did absorb water. So we're not going to have that problem with these. But we're just going to put some in the cup. We'll kind of push it down just a little bit. We'll take one of these little seeds here with its little root, and we'll just make a little hole here, put that root down. We don't want to damage it. We'll push a little over it, maybe put just a little bit more on top, and that's going to be it. We're going to water it in, and we'll do the same for this other apple seed that's in here. And the reason why I used a deeper pot is, like I say, I want that taproot to be able to go down and grow. Once this comes up a little bit, and it gets just a little bit of size, I'll check it, and it won't be hard to check. I'll just dump it out of the pot, see if the root is starting to come out the bottom and try to coil. If it does, I'm going to go ahead and put it into a bigger pot. Even though it's not going to have roots all out on the outside, I'll transfer it. But anyway, what you want to do too is make sure that you label it, so that you know what these are and which type they are. Now we'll be doing some, or I'll be doing some peach and plum, growing some trees later in the year. I'm going to wait until my Alberta peaches actually set, and if the squirrels don't take them all, I'll take seed from that, and then we'll plant that seed. With your stone fruit like that, you'll get a duplicate of what that plant is. You don't have the same problem as far as with apple seed. Apple seed, it's not necessarily going to be the same as the parent plant, but with your stone fruit, whenever you plant it, it's going to be the same. So we'll go through that later. Now we're going to just pot up these other squash seed here. These are I don't quite have the space for these. As you see, I started to expand on my garden, and the reason is because I don't have space for certain types of plants that I might want to plant. And these are one. These are, and normally I don't buy feed or seeds from Lowe's or Walmart or something. Not that they're bad seeds, but you just the expense of them, you don't get very many seeds for the cost. I normally go to the feed store, but with all the quarantining that's going on right now, they it's just not as handy to do that. So I had to go pick up some plumbing supplies, so I picked up some seeds. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to plant 2 pots of each of these, and I'm going to plant 4 seeds in each pot, but I'm going to plant them in 4 different edges of this pot next to the edge. And the reason why this is I'm going to separate these out. Once they get to going a little bit, I'm going to separate these out, and I'm going to put them in a pretty good sized pot, because I don't know how long it's going to be before I actually get these into this new addition. So they might be in the pot. In fact, they might be container plants. It's going to be hard to say. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of these here, and then we're going to go talk about fruit trees. Okay, I got them all watered in. They're all planted, and I went ahead and put these inside my workshop by a window. It's a little cool outside. That might slow down germination on the seeds a little bit. So I went ahead and put them in here. Once they get to going, these will just go straight outside, and they'll get used to the sun from here. But like I say, once they start popping up, I'll put them directly outside. That way, there won't be any problem about having to get them used to the sun and the weather. They'll do good right off. Now we're going to talk about fruit trees, and about going ahead and pruning off some of the fruit that's on here. Now this tree really set good this year, and it's going to have way too much fruit for the branches. When I start pruning, and like I say, you can, if you want to leave it and you want to hope that it actually drops the fruit off. Now I'm taking these a lot of them's ready to drop anyway. The flower bloom didn't come off of these, and it kind of strangles them out. But if you want to leave that on there and you're saying I want a really big crop and this and that, a lot of times your tree ends up spending too much energy, and you end up with small peaches. But you end up with some like this here. This peach here, it's never going to amount to anything. This is a double peach. It's not going to be a good looking one. So that's the first thing I do, is I pull off a lot of those. But I'll pull off, when I have a whole lot in one spot, I'll get rid of some, and I'll get rid of a lot of the little ones that that set late, they're going to, you know, they're just going to rob from the tree, and you're going to end up with little peaches. I mean, they might not even make something that you'd really want to have as far as in your peaches. And a lot of times you want to take and prune some of them off further towards the end of your branches, because they're going to have more leverage on the branches and cause it to want to lean down more. You can see on this branch here, I have right here on the tip, we have peach, 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 peach. This branch will never support all the weight from these, and so what I'm going to do is I'll get rid of a lot of these, and that way, whenever it comes a time, if it gets warmer weather and it feels like it's got too many there, you're not going to have quite the situation of losing a bunch of peaches that your tree's already put a lot of energy into growing. Understandably, you want fruit, but sometimes getting rid of a few, and like I say, especially these ones here that are deformed because they set a double, pull those off. They're not going to be something that you're going to eat. Take and get rid of them, and like I say, get rid of a lot of the ones that come on late that's smaller than the others. That way you choose more of what kind of fruit you're going to have. Now, big growers, they can't do that. I mean, you know, it'd be ridiculous to go through that. But when you're doing it at home and little ones, if you have little places that looks bad on them, go ahead and get rid of them. There's no reason to take and have your tree putting energy to this kind of fruit. So that's one of the important things with your fruit trees. And the same thing with if it's apples or anything like that. You want to take and get the excess fruit off it. That way you'll have a good crop. Once your plant gets bigger and it can support it, then you'll be in good shape. Now, we have plums set. Now these trees are young. These plums probably won't get big enough to cause a problem, but I do watch if the insects damage one of them, I get rid of it. There's no reason to have that extra work for the tree to try to keep going with that one, and it's not gonna be viable fruit in the end. But I hope this helps, and I hope everybody has a good crop. This is Kenny Povey with Gardening Simplified. If you think this video is helpful, it might be helpful to others, share it. If you want to see my newest ones whenever they come out, just take and hit the subscribe, hit the bell button, and hit the like button. That gets YouTube to bring it up to the top where other people might recommend it to other people to see. Thanks a lot.